in one direction is more complicated than to let it extend infinitely in both directions.
Yeah, like this is like just so weird. Like, look at these people in the chat. Where'd your matter come from? It's just like I'm just inviting people to see if they're theists. If you're not a theist and you don't want to like ask or talk about anything, you can drop down. That's fine.
I appreciate it. I think I've never spoken with you, but Niels is just an absolute sophist. So maybe we can have a conversation.
I don't even know if I've talked to you before. Have you just seen me?
I know. Niels, very appropriate name. You have Nil knowledge about her, literally.
True. I don't know. We've never talked before. You're so angry too.
Yeah, we have. You just don't remember, but that's okay.
Oh, okay, maybe I don't.
You're on like every atheist panel on TikTok.
True. That's nice because I'm bored. I have some free time right now this month.
Yeah, literally, you bores and just farts out of your mouth.
What?
Call it philosophy
you want
and logic.
Why are you so angry?
It's just banter, bro.
No, it's like seems like you actually have a vendetta against me. Listen, if I like killed your family accidentally, tell me.
Dude, you're hurting people. Your ideology literally is killing people. You understand that, right?
How?
Dude, you're literally killing people with the way you think, bro.
What's the way I think?
Bro, there's no God, dude. That gives people no hope, bro. They're just gonna like slice themselves.
No, I give people hope without God because I almost ended myself because of God because I have schizophrenia. So I think you should have a healthy way that if God works for you, God works for you. If it doesn't work for you, let me give you an alternative and show that there are alternatives that are viable without religion.
Okay, how do you do that without turning someone, a human or a thing, into God itself?
You don't have to turn people into God. What does that mean?
Well, I'm saying you would necessarily idolize or something else in place of that God, right?
Why can't you idolize other things? Like, can I not be thankful? Is thankfulness idolization? That's my curiosity. Actually, what do you define as idolization? That's my curiosity.
Worshiping or praising, giving your attention, time, and energy.
Do I idolize my parents?
Something. What's that? You can. It's possible to. It's not.
Is it good to idolize your parents?
Well, I don't think you should idolize anyone or anything.
Okay, so you shouldn't idolize God either, right? You should just be a free thinker, not idolize anything.
You really think that? You really think that? The whole point of idolization is anything but God. That's what.
Okay, why should we idolize God? Why is he specific? Why is he the special case?
Well, I mean, he's the creator, right?
So I don't give a shit.
Well, that's fine if you don't give a shit, but
that's like if my parents said, "I made you, so you have to follow every rule." I don't care. I'm my own person.
That shows your character more than anything else. But right, we're also commanded
that I'm a free thinker, yeah, and that you're a sheep. True, does show the character.
Free thinker, okay. But you don't believe in honor and respect.
Not a complete free thinker. I'll caveat that, but more of a free thinker than you are, because you just said, "Listen, I got to follow him because he made me," and I'm like, that is weak sauce.
Yeah, so I'm not.
And you follow yourself.
Let me try engaging with RJ, because RJ, I'm not clear what you're. Are you trying to say like? Yeah, sorry, JR. You're saying that there's going to be like some necessary corollary that we must like, I don't know, worship that which created us?
I'm not necessarily making that argument. We just got into idolatry because he said that he doesn't need God, or that he's better without God.
I don't think we need God. But listen, do you have any reasons to believe God exists? Well, let's just try engaging with me. Do you believe there's any good reasons to believe that a God exists?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And those are?
Not least is an objective moral structure that we can all abide by and adhere to.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, I said not least is a unified set of ethics that we can all adhere to.
And how is this motivating for the theistic hypothesis?
Well, because absent a universal mind that is independent of the human mind, then moral standards are reduced to the individual and is therefore subjective. If it's objective, then it just reduces to a will to power.
Listen, that's false for, so many reasons. First of all, using like ethical frameworks like utilitarianism, we can derive objective moral principles or moral actions that are going to be like some norm for which we can carry out action guiding forces. So that's going to be false. You can have objective morality in an atheistic worldview. Hold on.
You think utility gives you morals?
Seriously? Yeah, using utilitarianism, you can derive objective morality.
Who defines what's utile and useful?
The facts that are going to be stance independent, right? Just like
impossible. You don't have facts absent a paradigm or a framework from which you interpret them.
A framework? What are you talking about? The framework is just going to be a system that guides a conceptual scheme, right? Like if I have an epistemic framework, right? So utilitarianism is going to be an ethical framework. So I don't know what you're meaning. You're not going to have a framework for a framework, right? Okay. I don't know if you're talking about some meta framework, which doesn't make any sense. But listen, you understand that in the theistic worldview, you're only how you would. Hold on, but in the theistic worldview, you're only going to like derive subjective morality.
I'm sorry, you're only going to what?
Yeah, you're only going to derive subjective morality from a theistic worldview.
Derive subjective morality?
Yeah, if you're saying morals are derivative of God, then that's subjective morality.
Oh, because God is a subject?
Yes.
That's such a low tier argument, dude. Come on. He's an absolute subject.
You want to give the rebuttal?
It's
Yeah,
low tier because it's human mind independent, right? The mind of God is not the mind of humans, right?
No. It doesn't deal with human mind, right? It never subsumes that. All it says is that what it means to say something is objective is it's mind independent. If God is a mind, he's a subject.
That's not my definition of objective, and that's the way that you guys skirt the issue. You can't have anything mind independent.
Yeah, so no one is independent. Yeah, listen, no one's interested in your proprietary language, right? Given the consideration of what it means in actual ethics, meta-ethics, and what people actually use as a standard. What it means to say something is objective is that it's mind independent, not human mind independent. So it's going to be the case.
How do you have
morality
how do you have
subjective.
ethics that are mind independent without a human mind conceptualizing them?
You adhere to an axiom, don't you? That's
Yeah,
listen.
An axiom
We
that comes from where? Human mind?
hold on. Listen, JR, all we do
There's
is
nothing
appeal
objective
to...
in your world, right?
Yeah, atheism has nothing to do with there being nothing objective. I don't know what you're talking about. But what we derive is from our phenomenological states, we can derive naturalistic facts and use those to motivate what is going to be moral conducts in which are going to be normative. That's all it means. So, under your view, obviously God's a subject.
So are you alluding to the idea that there's some sort of brute fact in reality for us to ascertain?
No one talked about a brute fact.
Okay. So what are you saying?
What are you talking about? Do you know what a brute fact is?
Yeah, something that's self-evidently true.
No, a brute fact is going to A brute fact is a fact that which has no explanon for its state of being.
So it has no what?
Explanon for its state of being.
No explanation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And do you believe in brute facts?
Do I believe?
Do you think there are brute facts about reality?
I would be agnostic.
Oh, okay. Do you think that there's anything objectively true about reality itself?
Reality is what is objectively true. That's like a trivial question.
Wait, just to clarify, what you mean by that is essentially that there's an underlying reality that all our shared experiences are conveying and creating kind of hallucinations of that is not indeterminate, but invariant to the observer, right? That's what you mean?
Right. Thank you. I'm saying that there's something about reality.
You do not have all that money, bro. Stop the cap. Show me a bake. Show me a bake.
Wait.
Hold on,
These people are so dumb. These people are so dumb. No way they really come up thinking that anyone's giving them $1 billion. Anyways. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. So your reasoning in believing God exists is the fact that you have subjective morality, and you believe, I don't understand. What would let's say for the sake of argument, using the theistic worldview, you can obtain objective moral conduct for which the atheistic worldview cannot. How does that prove that God exists?
Well, it might not. It's not a sufficient proof in and of itself. But I'm giving you a reason. You asked what.
I'm not clear.
Hold on. Can you let me finish? Maybe you'll clarify. Maybe it'll be clear to you if you don't interrupt me. All right, let's go ahead. So you just you said, give me a good reason, or why do you believe God exists? What's one reason you believe God exists? Right. So I asked you. I have faith in God because at least with God, there is a conceptual framework for how there can be such things as objective morals, which would lead to better human flourishing.
Wait, so is it like a pragmatic thing? Like you believe in God because otherwise there's no it's just pragmatic. There's no actual.
Well, you could make a pragmatic argument for God, but my argument for God is not pragmatic.
That sounds like pragmatism, though, because that doesn't guarantee there's an objective or subjective reality, whether morality is objective or subjective. You're just saying, if there is a God, if A, then morality is objective, then B, A, then B. But you've never proven A. You've just said A, then B, and then assumed A for pragmatism, right?
Yeah, that neither demonstrates that.
You muted yourself, right? Because you just said you can't have an objective standard out of pragmatism.
No, I'm saying what you're saying. This is external critique.
Okay.
No, I already told you that I'm not making a pragmatic argument for God. I'm saying, sure, it could be useful that believing in God could actually result in better utility.
Yeah, but the moral facts. Yeah, but you understand that's going to be a pragmatic argument because it's not an ontological one.
All right. Okay. Yeah. You guys want to play that route. So tell me again. Even if it's pragmatic, how is it
confusing?
What's that?
It being pragmatic doesn't argue that God exists.
Why it's pragmatic?
Dude, that doesn't argue for God's existence.
You guys are so bad faith. I literally told you this is not my entire argument.
Wait, what's bad faith? I'm just telling you, our contention is that what you said is
I'm not
pragmatism.
surprised.
Do you think that's pragmatism?
I'm not surprised. Getting tangled up with a sophist is like rolling.
This isn't sophistry. This is important. We're making a claim. You're making a counterclaim. We're trying to clarify the claim.
You seemingly don't understand what sophistry is.
I don't think he does.
Okay.
I don't understand why what people think good or bad faith is anymore when it's like, hey, dude, what did you mean by this? Let's clarify. Let's get into the weeds. Let's figure out the details. Oh, that's bad faith. What?
Yeah, he's a funny guy. Anyways, well, not to sound rude or anything like that. I love having you up here, but I do want to try and keep it as a 1v1.
No, fair enough. Tell me to get the fuck out. I don't take any offense.
No.
You want to 1v1?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying
once someone comes up, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I'll keep you company till then.
Yeah, I'm lonely, so.
Yeah, but that's one of the things. I've been being called a sophist recently, and I'm like, oh man, am I a sophist? And I was trying to think, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like, because and maybe this is my bad. Generally, I come into these conversations genuine, like, hey man, tell me the information. Because I have friends who are like religious, and I think they have valid reasons to be religious, which I've never heard on TikTok, but I think there are valid reasons to be religious. I think my parents have valid reasons to be religious, right? Like, I think there's valid reasons. I just don't think they're ever given on TikTok. It's just because, like, all these people are... Oh, sorry, should I drop now?
I mean, if you want to stay up, or let's just see how this goes. Maybe I'll let you, like, I don't know. Yeah, what's up? I'm going to just call you Duh. What's up, Duh? Or T, I don't know. I'm going to just call you Mr. T. What's up, T?
Lavish.
Call you what?
Lavish.
All right. What's up, Lav?
Okay. So let's say that the universe, it appeared out of nothing, right? So
I take that to be impossible.
Well, can there be anything beyond the universe?
No.
Okay, so then it would have to have come into existence from nothing, right?
No.
Well, I want to define universe first for each other because you might be talking past one another.
Yeah, well, the way I understand universe, as I defined it earlier, is just going to be the totality of elements in a system, right?
Right.
So I would just take it that when I mean by universe, it's just everything that which exists.
So my
It's just
understanding,
going to be a containment relation.
there's only two ways something can come into existence. It can either be brought into existence by something else, or it could only have been brought into existence by itself.
Or it can either come into existence or come into existence.
What?
Right? That's going to be the true dichotomy.
What?
Yeah, so it can either come into existence or not come into existence.
Okay. So, but if there is something that exists, then it must have come into existence, right?
No, of course not. That makes no sense.
Why not?
Yeah, so it's a dichotomy. Either something that which exists either came into existence or that which thing that exists didn't come into existence. It's eternal.
That which thing that exists didn't come into existence?
Yeah, there's no prior... there's not going to be a preliminary exchange of ontological state, right? It's not like there was a point in which it didn't exist, then it existed, right? It could just exist eternally, right? There's no coming about into existence.
Okay, so then if it existed eternally, you're saying there's no beginning and there's no end.
Sure.
Okay, that's a possibility.
Great.
Okay, so now we think, right, scientifically speaking, we think that like everything came from a singularity, right? That's kind of what the mainstream
Big Bang, okay.
Yeah, right.
Correction, that's wrong, but continue.
Okay, what's the truth?
We don't know. You just keep winding.
No.
The universe expanding.
Wait, okay, we get it.
Gets smaller,
no.
then stops. We don't know.
I'll take over now. I want to.
Okay, well, I can't prove anything if you don't know anything. Like if you can't, like if there's no, like if we can't even agree that that's what the mainstream science like community believes, then we're not going to be able to agree on anything.
No, just don't worry about him, right? Just me and you. Yeah, that's fine. No, so you can stay up here. Just like I don't want to say don't talk, but I mean, guess you got the idea. Yeah, so sure, you can say that. Wait, what was the question? That the universe?
Well, there were many questions.
What was the latter question?
The last
most
question
recent
was that mainstream science believes that everything came from a singularity. Okay, so we can agree on that. So that kind of
I wouldn't agree with that, but I'm granting that because I'm just going to do an internal critique.
Okay. Well, I mean, if we want to go that route, then we can say that nothing can be proven really, right? Because you can't even, like, there's no way that we can even believe what we're seeing with our eyes because those are just electrical impulses that our brains are perceiving. So we could actually be like a brain in a vat and none of this could actually be reality, which is probably more than likely.
But that's not interesting right now. right? Like obviously skeptical scenarios and strong methodological skepticism like that can pretty much dissolve any argument given. It's just going to be like some epistemically
right, but you have to have some
indeterministic
kind of
state of affairs.
in order to come to a conclusion.
Yeah, so we're not
right?
arguing about the sensory data,
right?
Yeah, but we're not talking about the instruments of cognition being reliable or not. I don't know why you brought that up. That's like extraneous.
Because you need to believe that in order.
I'm saying for the sake of argument, I'm granting you everything came from a singularity, right? So you can continue from there.
Okay, so if we can agree on that, then it would stand to reason that it came out of necessity, right? It
No,
was born
what?
out of necessity, right?
What do you think necessity means?
It necessitated itself. I don't know. There was
Yeah, well, in modal logic, yeah, listen, in modal logic, there's going to be scopes to necessity. I'm going to just presume you're talking about logical necessity. I don't know what else you would mean, but what it means to say that something is logically necessary is that it's going to be the case that it exists in all possible state of affairs. Which I don't see why that's going to be the case.
Affairs?
Yeah, and with that, that just means given the axioms of logic, you can derive a P and not P if it were to be rejected, which is just not going to be the case. So it's not going to be necessary.
Well, if time itself doesn't exist outside of the universe, then then that would be true, right? It would logically be necessary.
What do you mean?
Like, it would exist out of logical necessity.
What's the contradiction in saying the universe didn't like, I'm not clear. How's that? Listen, what it means to say something is logically necessary is given a background of some set of axioms. We're going to infer that it must necessary. It's going to be the case that in all states of affairs, P obtains. That's what that means.
Right, and there's only one case because there's nothing before it, right?
Yeah, no, to say something is logically necessary is say if I relived the exact same state of affairs infinitely, which let's say is me taking a test, and every instance of me taking that test I was to pass, that's going to be some logical necessity, right? That it can't obtain that I not pass.
Right.
But it's going to be
existence has to exist in order for that to be true. So in every scenario, existence is going to exist, right?
I don't even know what that means.
It means that the only scenario is existence. No matter how many times you do it, it's the only scenario.
The only scenario is instance. Or existence. Is that what you said?
Yeah, existence.
Yeah, I'm not clear what you're talking about. So
if anything happens in the universe, that's if anything comes from nothing, that's existence, right? So in order to there's no other thing that occurs that we're aware of besides existence, right?
Yeah, I'm not following what you're trying to ask.
Well, because you're saying that there's no other way, right? But that if there's no other way, right? That it could have been born, right? But that's after it's already
could have been born,
right? Existence.
What are you talking about? Existence being born?
Born, created, whatever.
Existence can't be. What are you talking about? What it means to say something is ontic is that it just obtains, right? What does it? Something can't obtain prior to it. The only thing that we can do is that's going to be like some semantic primitive. So that's not going to be. If you just don't know, like philosophy, you're not going to really listen.
Okay, so you can't explain it.
Well, it's a semantic primitive, so it's not going to be reducible to any other. Yeah.
So it's like 1, 2, and 3. Obtain is like to.
Well, no. So 1, 2, and 3 are going to have like some corresponding values with some phenomenological state of affairs or some like entity. That's going to have some analyticity that which we can confer the meaning of.
You're intellectualizing because you know I'm right, and you don't want me to get to the point where I'm right.
What are you talking about?
I think you're just making up a bunch of stuff.
What am I making up?
Like you're just putting up a bunch of fake
Fake what?
Words.
Listen, I can. Yeah. So what words did I say that you thought was fake?
You're gonna say that it's a primitive, so therefore I can't understand it. That doesn't make sense, dude.
Yeah. So
no, you're just like primitives are.
Yeah. You're a moron. So listen, if I ask you to.
All right.
Yeah. So if I ask you to define. Yeah. So when I ask you to define existence, define that.
Huh?
Yeah. So if I ask you to define existence, go ahead and define that.
Define existence?
Yeah, because you said that I'm just making shit up. Hold on. You're saying. Hold on. You're saying I'm making. No, that's being. And what does it mean to say that there is? Everything that there is. What,
you're just saying the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's irreducible. Those are synonyms.
Irreducible?
Yes, it's a semantic prime. Listen.
Irreducible?
Yes. Yeah, engaged. Listen, you're being moronic.
Why does that have anything to do with you changing the word and it meaning the same exact thing? Because you can't reduce it to something smaller? You can't
it's a semantic primitive.
To a different thing? You think I don't understand the words you're saying? I'm a software engineer, bro.
Then why did you just say you believe I'm making up stuff that don't make sense to intellectualize? Hold on, I'm gonna just mute you if you're not gonna like engage. Listen, you're claiming you believe You have this dogmastic attitude that I'm making up words to intellectualize. So I'm asking you, what words did I use that seemed like I can't define them? If you're talking about the fact that you asked me to define existence, which I told you is going to be an ontological primitive or prime, which is to mean that it's not going to be reducible to any other notion, then how about you go ahead and define what it means to say something exists without a synonym or begging the question? Go ahead. You should be able to unmute yourself, no?
But you can't even define obtain, right? So I wonder why that is.
Yeah, it's a semantic primitive. Let me ask you to define what it means to say something exists.
That doesn't even make sense, dude.
Yeah, so define the term existence.
You don't have a definition, so that's just a cop out, bro.
Great. I don't really care about your opinion. So
it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, are you going to like continue to just prevaricate and run your mouth to avoid the question? Define what it means to say something exists. Define existence. Go ahead. Go ahead and define existence. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Well, why don't you just stop muting me?
Then engage. So define existence.
I said 3 times already.
Yeah, define existence.
I just did. It's all that is.
All that is?
Yes, all that is.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything that came from the singularity. Everything within the singularity.
So existence just means everything in the singularity?
Yeah, before and after.
What does everything mean?
All-encompassing.
Yeah, that's a synonym.
Okay. What do you mean? What does everything mean?
Exactly.
Everything means?
You don't see how you like. I'm trying to illustrate to you how the fact you're not going to be able to reduce these terms to anything more. That's what it means to say something is semantically primitive.
All things.
Listen, if I talk about a dog, I can reduce that to a set of things.
Semantic primitive.
Sorry?
Obtain is not a semantic primitive. How can the
really?
Obtain?
How's it not? Yeah, how's it not semantic primitive?
How can the universe obtain? Please.
How is it not? Yeah, how's it not semantic primitive?
Okay, but you can't provide a definition.
What it means to say something is a semantic primitive is that it doesn't possess.
Not a synonym. Those are 3 different words. A synonym has to be 1 word.
No, a synonym just means it has a corresponding semantic.
You're wrong.
Yeah, all it means to say something is synonymous with another is that it has a corresponding semantic content, right? Like,
no, a synonym is different from being.
Yeah, you can get off if you're not going to engage. What it means to say something is synonymous is that it has, like I said, it just has corresponding semantic content. If I say a bachelor and then I say an unmarried man, they're going to be 2 distinct utterances that possess the same semantic content. That's what it means to say these 2 things are synonymous. But yeah, you evidently were just being dishonest and incapable of engaging. And evidently you understand what it means to say something is semantically primitive, that's not going to be semantically reducible. And it's not the case that when I asked you to define existence, that you couldn't give something that's not synonymous, right? Because obviously that's what it means for something to be a semantic prime. Anyone else here who wants to come up, you can request. Know anyone else that might want to come up, whether to debate, argue, ask questions, you can invite them. Yo. He dropped down. You can prove me wrong. You just admitted that you understand that obtain is a semantic prime. Implicitly. I asked you to define existence and you couldn't give anything other than a synonym. So you understand something is going to be irreducible. Okay. Oh, you're at work? No, that's fine. Maybe another time you can come up. Yeah, obtain is not a semantic prime. You got to explain why, right? Just saying it's not a semantic prime doesn't explain anything. You already said you don't know what it means to say like something obtains. So then you asked me to define it, and it's just the case that it can't be defined because it's not going to be constitutive of a definition because it's not reducible to a set of notions that can provide in the constitution of a definiendum. So you're just a moron. But anyone else want to come up, you can. Invite others who are willing to come up or who want to talk. Oh, wait, sorry, I invited Bear Cub again. My bad. I don't know any theists on TikTok, not gonna lie, or any well-known ones. It's possible to prove what humans base God on. However, I don't know what you're talking about. All I know is that science supports my faith in God of Abraham. I mean, if you want to come up and talk about that, we can. I don't see why that is. Yeah, I'm just inviting anyone here who has the capability of coming up. Does anyone at all have justification for the existence of God? Here, let me invite the same idiot who didn't know what a semantic prime is. Hopefully he can actually deploy an inference this time. Yeah, just give an inference. That's all I want to hear.
An inference?
Yeah, give me an inference, an argument.
An inference of what?
An inference of a conclusion that God exists.
An inference of a conclusion that God exists. Why do I need an inference of a conclusion? Shouldn't I just give you a conclusion?
The conclusion is a proposition that infers the argument.
A conclusion? So you want me to
what are you talking about?
A conclusion without saying a conclusion? Is that what you're saying?
Are you dumb? Do you know formal logic?
Are you dumb? You're just trying to sound smart, bro. You're not smart.
I'm not trying to sound smart.
Listen, what the fuck?
No.
You're stupid.
Yeah, so do you want me... Yeah? Do you want me to...
bro, you're stupid.
Yeah, so let me explain to you since you're just a moron. Bro. Yeah, I'm stupid, but you don't know what an inference is, right? Don't say I'm stupid and you just don't know the terms I'm using. Listen, I'm willing to define the terms and explain what I'm trying to say if you can't understand. But if you're just going to be a moron and spaz out and act like I'm an idiot for using terms you don't know, okay, then you can go down if you're not going to engage. See, you're just a dishonest piece of garbage. You don't know anything of what you're talking about. An inference is going to be an argument, right? And a conclusion is going to be a proposition, right? So what it means to say something's an inference is that there's going to be a set of premises that are going to be necessary in constituizing sorry, there's going to be, okay, I mean, a better way of phrasing this would be that there's going to be a set of premises that are going to constitute some proposition. An inference is an argument. What do you mean? Here, let me bring you up because you don't know what you're talking about. Have you read any formal logic? Let me just ask you that. Have you read any formal logic? Because I can just give you a PhD who literally, and I can give you the book that supports the claim I'm making, unless you're going to give some alternate recourse that rejects this. Shut your mouth. Listen, do you know formal logic, yes or no? You can unmute. Just tell me if you know what formal logic is. Do you know any formal logic at all? Okay, he's not going to unmute. Yeah, so do you know formal logic, yes or no?
I don't need to. I'm a programmer.
Okay, so you don't know formal logic. Okay, so that's why you're an idiot. Then you can go down. Yeah, you're just a moron. You don't know what a... Here, let me just kick you out of my live because you just want to yap and you really don't know what you're talking about. Maybe read a book. Here, let me give you a good book. It's called The Introduction into Formal Logic, and it's by Seifu Lee. He's a PhD logician in logic, and he teaches you the intros to zero-order calculus, first-order calculus, also known as prop logic, and first-order predicate logic. Those are the other names for that. And he also explains the set of axioms that constitute logica docens. He also talks about like the rules of inference and stuff like that. So maybe pick up that book and read, because you clearly are just an ignoramus who just talks crap and knows nothing. An inference is an argument by definition. An inference is going to be a set of premises that constitute a conclusion, which is known as a proposition. An inference I said an inference for a conclusion. That's a double positive. What are you talking about? An inference for a conclusion. An inference is going to be the set of premises that constitute a conclusion. So what's going to be the set of premises that are going to infer some conclusion? That's what I'm asking. You're an idiot. So, like I said, pick up a book on Intro to Logic. Don't come back to my live. You don't know anything of what you're talking about. Yeah, an argument is the same as a conclusion. All right. Well, here, someone else requested up. Sorry for not letting you up. You can come up now.
Show us some bands, bro. All this knowledge, but no money. Show us some bands, bro.
Yeah, so this is not interesting.
All this, nah, shut up.
Yeah, so the money on here is superficial. It's not real. It's not real. It's pretty obvious it's not real, right? No one has 10. Yeah, you can just go down.
Not even that, bro. Just show me some money.
Yeah, you can go down. That's not interesting. I'm not interested in you yapping about the money that's obviously not legitimate. Sorry. First of all, there's no contract for me to insure your money. So, like, why would I care about that?
Hello.
What's up? Sorry.
Hey. No, you're good. Is this? I'm assuming this is opposition only. Is this opposition only?
Opposition only? Are you asking me for like justification? Like,
yeah.
if I can present justification for atheists?
No. I think, are you only accepting requests for folks that are theists?
No, if you're an atheist and you have questions, you could come up and ask.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm an atheist, but I don't have questions. My bad. I'll drop down.
Okay, that's fine.
Peace out.
Peace. Have a good one. Anyone else here who is a theist? Or maybe an atheist who has questions? I'm gonna just send invites to people who I don't know. Also, if you know anyone who's a theist or, I don't know, an atheist who possibly has questions, you can invite them. Dres Role. Proof he doesn't without using science. I don't disprove him using science. Proof he doesn't without using the Bible. I don't use the Bible either. I don't do like internal critiques with the history or the things of the Bible. I use like logical criticisms. Right? I use like things like ontological economy, which is going to argue the commodity of some hypothesis given the set of ontological commitments, which is just going to be the principle of parsimony that values some hypothesis as a stronger commodity in an ontological setting. So that's going to be one motivation for why I'm an atheist. I can give you like others, like falsifications for internal views of what God is cashed out to be, like a all-loving, all-knowing, all-powerful God is going to entail several contradictions. The Christian God, like the Trinitarian view, is not going to be coherent. That's going to lead to like a contradiction, given the analyticity of numbers or the analytics of what it means. Christians don't have argument due to the fictional book. So fictional belief. Yeah, let me just invite some people. I don't know any theists. I don't know if me inviting people is going to really do anything. Someone came up earlier, but they left. Damn. Here, let me try and resend it to, I think I know that person, so I'm going to try and resend it to them. Oh, actually, I do know one theist. Let me invite him. I'll just read the chat. I don't know if anyone... I haven't been reading the chat, obviously, because I've been talking to people up here. I don't know if you have an argument or questions, you can put that in the chat. One God doesn't exist. Is it just me, or like do a lot of the people here just like act like this? Like they just call you like names, because I don't know, they see like you using like some philosophy nomenclature, or like I guess they see jargon and think like you're a pseudo intellect, right? But like then when you're willing to like define terms and explain what you're actually saying, they're just like they just spaz out and obviously disengage. There's no hate like Christian love. Not gonna lie, that's kind of funny. I might just invite some of the non-theist people if I don't get someone up. I mean, if anyone has any questions, you can come up or like, I don't know, like ask me reasons why I reject this or that. What's up?
Oh!
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna invite let's see. Oh, someone came up. Yeah, what's up, Saul?
How you doing?
I'm kind of tired.
Me too.
But not in the sense like I need sleep. Like I just have been sitting around doing nothing long enough that I'm just like bored. Not like exhausted, but what's up? Do you believe there's any good reason to believe in God?
A good reason to believe in God. That's an interesting question. I don't. I do believe in God. I'm a Christian. Is there a good reason to believe in God? I guess I would probably have to say, there's a reason to believe in God. Is there a good reason? I think some of the reasons that are rejected by atheism, and maybe you can clarify this, because you know all the different arguments, the fine tuning argument for the existence of God, which is very interesting, because I think even Christopher Hitchens said that was the most profound that one would have to contemplate, right? So tell me your take on that. Like, why is that not a good reason to believe in God? Like the
fine tuning,
the universe. Yes.
Well, the one issue is the fact that we don't have an exhaustive scope to make proper inductive cases. So it's going to be the case we have, I believe 4% of knowledge of the universe that is infinitely expanding currently. So we only know the observable universe. So all inductive cases are going to be limited to that scope. So it's just going to be the case that the laws of physics as we know them can fail to be exhaustively true, which is to say that there can be no laws of logic. Laws of physics. So that nomology is going to be inductively underdeterministic. But another main reason is the fact that God is going to have, we're going to understand God to be an agent, right? He has mental content, mental states, dispositions, and desires. So it's going to be the case that he's going to have some, there's going to need to be some explanation which accounts for his motivations in actuating or facilitating a specific universe as such, right? And it's going to be the case that seemingly there's going to be infinite possible conceptions of a universe that God can undertake the deliberation in manifesting. So there's not going to be, unlike physics, there's going to be a high number of universes that can be, and it's going to be highly improbable. But with God, it's going to be seemingly infinite possible. So it's not going to be it's going to be infinitely less likely that God chooses to make this universe as opposed to the other. In fact, it can be the case that God exists and doesn't make a universe, right? There's even the possibility a God and a universe both exist independently, right? And there's not a God that made a universe, but there's a God in a universe, or there's just a God, no universe. So it's not going to be necessitated nor even predicted under the hypothesis of a God that God desires to make a universe. And even then, there's going to be incoherencies with that, right? It could be the case that, if we understand God to be a morally perfect being or just a perfectuous being, then there's not going to be any greater reason that he desires to make anything imperfect or anything lesser than himself, or make anything at all if he can't, there's not going to be any motivations at all for him to make anything if he's perfect, right? That's going to be that he's not going to have desires, right? What does it mean to have your...
Well, what a perfect being, that's interesting. Would a perfect being then desire to love? Would that be something? And it's funny if you say that if God is a perfect being, part of perfection would be that he must exist, right? That would be a trait of perfection. Would be too.
I wouldn't say so. No, I wouldn't see why that is. No, I think something can be conceptually perfect and not have a property of ontology, and it's not going to see any more greater that it exists with ontology being allowing for that perfection. Well, that's just going to deal with how you cash out perfect, right? Because obviously perfect is just going to be a fuzzy, it's not going to be anything more than an expressive term, right? It's just going to be subjective. What can be perfect for me may be perfect for someone else in some other way.
You said perfect. So I never said perfect. You said perfect.
No, I'm saying a perfect being wouldn't have desires.
Why is that?
Yeah. So what it means to say I'm perfect is that there's nothing that I can get that would obtain a higher mental attitude, right? And if my mental attitude is perfect, then it's not the case that I can have a desire for something greater if there is nothing greater that which can be furnished given my perfectuous state, right? But what is going to necessarily be the facets of that perfection is going to be vague, right? There could be an evil God and that could be perfect. But the issue is its dogmastic attitude to obtain specific desires are not going to be, they're not going to be existent given that what it means to say that
so what do you
desires are limited.
Then? What's your definition of perfect?
I wouldn't have a cash out for perfection. I wouldn't even. I don't think I would ever use that term.
But you just said that. You've been saying that.
No, I'm just saying.
A perfect being would not need. A perfect being would not need desire. So define that.
Yeah. So the issue is what it means to say something is perfect is that it's maximized, right? It can't be any conceivable. There's not going to be some conceptual sense in which it can superpose the existing state of affairs to which it is, right? So that's what it means to say something is perfect, that it can't be any greater. So if it's going to be that it desires something, I take it that a desire is going to be some mental attitude for motivations to obtain some additional thing within some state of affairs, right? But that's just going to mean it's not perfect, that there's something it yet not have that which it desires.
I still don't. You use the term perfect, but you're saying it's not perfect.
I'm saying what's not perfect.
You said the being cannot be perfect.
I'm not. Listen, what I said was that.
You rationalize a disbelief in God based on the wording you're using because of this. There cannot be a perfect being that would necessitate anything.
Well, listen, it's going to be highly improbable, if not illogical, given it's going to be an analytical truth, which is just to say that the state of affairs, that which existed, is not going to be compatible with the desire. But it's just going to be evidence that there's not a God that desires to create a universe if we understand God to be some perfect being, right?
And that's what you think. That's what you believe.
So what it means to say something is perfect is that.
So when you
hold on, but what it means to say something is perfect is to say its preferences are maximized.
No, but let's just say this: when you're contemplating the rationale, what you just said, but that's not sometimes reality. I mean, in the real world, people deal with issues. Well, I'm talking about like the dark times of the night when you contemplate the whys and the meanings. Like, is there meaning? Is there purpose? What is it all about? Like, why?
I'm just trying to elucidate. I'm trying to elucidate the issue of there being a perfect being that desires some thing that which it does not have yet. Right. So the issue of that is what it means to say something is perfect. It's that its preferences are maximized. So if I say to one person, what would be in your view the perfect island, right? And then if it's the case that there's going to be an island that which is more desirable than the one that individual then just described, then it's not going to be the case that the island that he initially spoke of is going to be the perfect island, because it wouldn't maximize his preferences, right? But if it is the case God is perfect, then he's going to have his being. He's already going to be in a state in which his preferences are maximized. So he's not going to prefer something that is going to be alternative to the existing state of affairs.
Like a relationship. Like, you don't think a perfect being needs needs relationships or communication or like anything like that. Like it's self-sustainable.
So if I said I'm on a perfect island, and then I said, actually, I wish there was a tree, a coconut tree right here, that would make this island better. Then it's the case that that island that is which you're existing on that you define to be perfect.
You are the agent. You are the agent, though, right? Desiring.
Sure. In the hypothetical, yeah.
Right. So then, if you're saying that something is, you're going to have to dumb that down to me. So I'm having trouble understanding the analogy. If you want something, so how does that equate to God? What you just said in regards.
So if God is perfect. If God is perfect and perfection is understood to be the maximization of a preference, and God prefers a state of affairs in which he exists as well as a universe of individuals that praise him, then that's going to mean he's not perfect, because the existing state of affairs can be put at a greater echelon of preference.
What if the reason is for the benefit of the creatures that this God would create?
What does that matter, right? It's not going to be necessary that he creates them at all, right? So there's not going to be a benefit for a thing that's uncreated.
I would agree with that it's not for the benefit of the creator, it's for the benefit of the creatures.
But that's not going to be necessary in a world that which doesn't possess creatures, right?
Well, it might not be necessary. It doesn't mean that it's not actual.
I don't know what you're talking about. So if it's the case that there is no,
well, if you say it doesn't prove that God doesn't exist. That's what I'm saying. There's a possibility that he wouldn't have. I mean, I would believe what you just said, that he does not, or God does not need to create.
It doesn't make sense to say, listen, if there's a baby, if I said there's a baby in front of me crying, and it would be better that the baby has a rattle to which it wouldn't cry, that wouldn't make sense to then entail that, or like make some corollary that it would be best that there is a state of affairs in which a baby does exist right in front of me with a rattle, instead of there being no baby at all without a rattle. Or just no baby at all, right? That's not going to be coherent.
But how does that equate to the existence of God? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, so God is a perfect being.
That's what I'm missing.
So God is a perfect being.
A perfect being, right?
Yeah. So God's a perfect being, and he has a desire. That's going to be a contradiction. Listen, it's just like if I say I'm a bachelor.
Where are you reading that? What is this? This is fascinating. Where did you?
So it's just the analytics of the terms that are being invoked.
Okay, so
listen, if I said there's a bachelor who is married, that's going to be a contradiction, right? Because bachelor is understood as being an unmarried man.
First circle, right? Yeah,
exactly. So what it means to say that one is perfect is that they have their preferences maximized. And if God says I'm I have my preferences maximized, but I desire a state of affairs that yet not exists. I prefer a world that yet not exists in which there is a universe alongside me. That's going to be a contradiction.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand that, but I maybe it is the term perfection is where the contradiction is. Your definition of perfection is what was it? What was the term you used?
The preferences maximized upon an agent.
Is that your definition, or is that the strong?
That's the standard definition, but yeah, that's just going to be the standard definition. But I'm not clear. Other context, the meaning of the term. Of course, you can just like dissolve the critique given that you're not engaging with the argument, right? So under this cash out of the terms, which are going to be the standard consideration of these numerous, it's just going to be the case that's contradictory.
Can I ask you, is that why you don't even consider a belief in God is because of this analytical argument, or is it something else?
No, I have dozens of arguments and motivations for why I don't believe in God, like an outstanding amount of reasons. This is just one.
So issue. What would be the motivation?
Well, I just gave you one, right? This critique is going to be motivation for why it's the case that God doesn't exist.
I'm not smart enough to understand the contradiction because of the perfection definition, but I don't even have an idea if the biblical view of God is perfect.
Okay, well, that just depends on what you consider God. But I'm going to let someone else up, so I'm going to drop you down. If you want, I could give you a book suggestion on formal logic,
yes,
so you can better understand how to formalize.
No, how about what you understand? What you just in regards to the perfection illustration? Do you have something that you got that from, or is this your own? Was that your own? Like, are you the author of that?
Well, this is an argument that's been recycled for many times. I didn't pull it from any specific person. Maybe I pulled it from Jack Engstrike or something like that. But it's just going to be like an analytical thing. So it's not like an argument that needs much reading up on, other than like some formal logic to derive the contradiction. If that's what you want, just like a book on logic.
What was the name of that? The person you mentioned?
I don't recollect like mentioning any person.
Okay. All right, sir.
All
right. Thanks for the conversation.
Yeah. Thank you too. Have a good one. All right. So I'm going to bring up, there's multiple people requesting, so I'm going to just bring one at a time.
So,
what's up, Dan?
How's it going, buddy?
All right. So, yeah, what do you believe are good reasons for the existence of God?
So I came across a really good argument the other day on TikTok showing, or the basic concept is that the existence of math in its entirety of concept is, kind of evidence for the proof of God.
Well, first of all, I don't believe math exists. Right? I'm not a realist about mathematical entities. I'm a fictionalist. Which means that I hold that they're pragmatically deployable in some state of affairs, but they don't hold an ontic status. So that's not going to be. It seems like if you're talking about an argument in virtue of the fact that math is real, then that's going to be cashed out under a system of realism, which I'm just not going to grant, for which the argument's not going to even like be foreground. But
yeah, sure.
You can still give the argument, even though it's just going to fail.
Cool. Well, yeah. So here, basically, this is how it goes. So the concept of math can be shown to contain literally infinite amounts of information. There's several equations that you can graph. I don't remember the equations nor the names of the shape that they show, but you can zoom in literally any part of the graph, and you'll get entirely new shapes and sequences that just go on literally forever. And I mean, to say that math isn't real is kind of ignorant in my opinion. I mean, everybody can agree that 1 + 1 = 2. So, I mean, that this doesn't hold any value to me, honestly.
Well, listen, you got to understand what it means to say something is real is that it's going to be like metaphysical. There's going to be like a colloquial understanding where like I say something is real, but really I just mean it obtains in a physical universe, right? I can say like my dog is real, but that's going to be different from like what real means in a philosophical domain. So if you're just going to mean like it physically exists, I don't even know what it means to say that math physically exists or in a nomological setting. Like I said, I believe mathematical entities don't exist, right? I don't think one exists outside my mind, right? I understand them to be useful values.
Yeah,
I understand them to be
that math doesn't technically physically exist. It really only exists in our minds.
Oh, well, then if it's a conceptual construct, I don't see how that's going to derive any ontological consequence.
What I mean is that, well, I mean, math is observable in like the laws of basically everything. The fact, just the amount of statistical anomalies that exist in our universe are objectively observable. The randomized sequences that created you, for example, are observable and by definition real. So
that's not what would be real under like I don't understand what sense that would be real. But listen, like,
it's the basis of like the orbits of the planets can be calculated through math. So I mean, if you're looking for something that's real, you can look towards the orbits of the planets and see that that's real. You know, so and those orbits. Can
let me ask you this: do you think the number 1 exists?
I mean, there, you know, to say something exists doesn't have to mean that it's real. I mean, there's even an argument to.
What do you mean?
I mean, there's an argument that I could argue that you're not even real. You know, considering I'm talking to you through an electronic device that I'm holding in my hand and receiving electronic signals to my brain that are telling me that you're talking, but I can't see you, I can't smell you, I can't.
Yeah, that's not gonna follow that I'm not real. It's just gonna follow that it's gonna be epistemically infeasible to derive the conclusion to whether or not I am real or not. Right? It's a possibility that the electrons could be deceiving you and your sensory datum is just false due to like a failure in your cognition. But that's not to say that it is the case. Your cognitive system has a failure or an error. It's just that it's possible, right? But what I mean to say that math is not real is that I understand math to be an expressive instrument for intelligibility and that it doesn't exist independent of my mind, right? I think math is a social construct, right? Kind of like language. There's people like linguistic realists that believe like, the word "the" exists independent of anyone in the world that speaks it, right? Like say no humans exist and no humans created English. There's going to be a fact to the matter whether or not the word "the" exists. And that's going to be like things that I take to be like incoherent. Same with math. I don't know what it means to say the number 1 exists. I only understand it as an instrument of intelligibility for the, phenomenological world, which I would presume is the way you understand, right? Like I can like, I don't know, reduce things to values, right? Like height, it can be understood in terms of some quantitative numeral value, but that doesn't mean that the number 1 actually exists. It just means it's some instrument that we use, like some fictionalist instrument to understanding the world.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's like the number pi. Number pi doesn't exist, or like whatever symbol pi, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Are you a realist about pi? Like, there's going to be like,
well, and
like, I don't know.
That's part of my argument is that the fact that a pi can be infinitely calculated shows that it took an infinite intellect in order to generate that number. Sorry for the background noise. I'm getting my kids ready for errands, but
you're good.
But it's so pi is something that we can observe in shapes that occur in nature. So to say that it isn't real is true, but also untrue because it's something that we can observe. So that shape that I was talking about earlier that you can zoom in and play, I can't remember the name of it at the moment.
But do you think that the entity, do you think that entity 1 exists in reality? That there's going to be like a 1 that holds its own independent ontological status? Because that's something that I don't understand. That there's going to be a 1 that doesn't exist contingent, or parasitic upon some physical object for which the value obtains in correspondence with some systematic instrument in which we dissect it, right? Because what it means to say you're a mathematical realist is you believe like the number 3 exists independent of anything else, right? Like there doesn't have to be a height in which we predicate the value 3, right? There's just a 3 that exists. And that wouldn't make sense to me. And I wouldn't see you as being able to deploy an argument that the number 3 exists, right? I don't think you would even think that that's going to be like epistemically possible that one derives that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess. I guess that was basically my argument is that, with the the quote-unquote existence of math, quote-unquote, prove the existence of God because it would take an enormously infinite intellect in order to create such a concept, and, there you go.
Okay, well, I'm going to drop you down. I just think maybe you should take some more stronger consideration to the commitments that the argument is actually being parasitic upon to constitute the argument, which are going to be like arguments that you may not even hold to. Like it doesn't seem you believe that the number 3 exists independent of some predicative qualifier, right? That's just going to be like object X possesses some facet to some value, right? Like if I say the facet of height, facet of width, that facet of like breadth, that's going to be like some thing in which we can like qualify a value. But obviously that doesn't seem like what the argument is committed to. It's committed to a more robust position that you don't undertake. So that's going to be an issue with that argument. But it's cool talking. I'm going to drop you down, bring someone else up. Maybe we can talk another time. All right, peace. Yeah. You're welcome. All right, I'm going to bring the next person. I know this person been waiting. What's up, Jay? I'm going to just call you Jay because it's like your letter.
Gotcha.
What's up?
Hey, what's up, bro? So what do you personally believe? You atheist?
Yeah, I'm an atheist.
Okay. And so just get straight to it. What do you think happened before the Big Bang?
What did I think happened before the Big Bang? I'm not clear on what that question means.
It's like, what was that?
Well, I understand the Big Bang to be the first point in time.
Okay.
So there's not going to be a before the Big Bang. That's not going to be coherent, right? It's like asking what was before time, right? Even though like that's going to be a temporal notion you're invoking, right? Because what's before the Big Bang was just going to be a singularity in which there's like a state of cosmic inflation, which was the Big Bang, in which then it's the universe as we know it. But the universe wasn't like not existent, right? It just existed as a singularity in which some finite past it became what it is now, or started expanding into what it is now. But that's not to say that something brought about the singularity, which I don't make sense of. I don't think ontology has some preliminary exchange.
But it's, I mean, that much energy is like a universe, like from a singularity. I don't understand how any explosion, it doesn't even compete.
Well, it's not an explosion.
Well, not explosion, the expansion, and nothing compares to it at all when it comes to it's still expanding faster than the speed of light. How is that possible?
How is it possible?
Yes.
What do you mean logically? How is it logically possible?
Yeah. How can something expand for 14 billion years?
What's just going to be logically possible is given the consideration of classical logic and the set of axioms, we can derive no contradiction from that system. So it's just going to be logically possible. Right? Like what it means to say, like, it's like me saying, how is it possible? How is it logically possible I wear a red shirt, right? What's going to be something logically impossible, given like the laws of thought, are going to be like something like my shirt is completely red and my shirt is not completely red, right? Like there can't be a point on my shirt that which is not completely red, or else it wouldn't be completely red. But it can't also be the case that there is a point in which it's not completely red or else, right? That's going to be a contradiction, like P and not P.
That's false. That's universe dependent logic.
No, logic doesn't adhere to the universe. Logic adheres to some conceptual framework, right? You're thinking of nomological laws, not logical laws. Nomological laws is like, I can't jump and fly like Superman because of gravity, right? But it's not going to be logically contradictory that I fly like Superman, right? If you're committed to the view that,
that's why I'm not committed. I'm not committed to this universe as the only universe. So I cannot. So that means
that's not what I was going to say. I'm not talking about there being only a single universe. I'm saying if you're not committed to the idea of these laws of thought in terms of logic, that means you can believe things neither exist as truth act, which I wouldn't understand, right? Like it's like me saying it's neither true or false. I exist. It's something else.
But then that's going to just be relative dependent again. Upon
what do you mean relative dependent?
It'll be relative dependent to the one that's making that would make the universe, would it not?
So you think so? Then that means God doesn't exist if you're committed to that view.
How does that not mean?
Are you saying that you believe God's not logical?
No, I'm saying I believe God can be logical and illogical because just things is.
What does that mean? So you think God can at one point neither exist true or false?
Yes, exactly.
So what does? Well, that would just be concession, right? That's what I would take as a win for me, right? What I'm trying to make someone commit to is the idea that God is neither true or false.
Yeah.
If you're saying God is neither true or false, then God.
Yeah. That actually means that you lose 100% of the time.
No, because what I'm trying to have you argue for is that it is true that God exists, but you're admitting it's not true God exists. It's not false God exists. It's neither.
I got Jesus Christ on my side. Like
yeah, but do you believe it's?
He proved that.
Yeah. Do you believe it's
and exists?
So you don't. So if I ask you, do you believe it's true God exists? What would you say to that?
Of course.
So then it is necessarily the case that all points in time God exists, right?
That doesn't have to be the case now.
So there's what's the fallacy?
The fallacy is if he doesn't want to exist, he doesn't have to.
No, what's the fallacy?
That's the fallacy. If he doesn't exist, we would know.
No. Listen, a fallacy. Hold on. A fallacy is going to be a family of invalidity that is going to be constituted in an inference, right? So it's going to be a specific category of error in logic that an inference
what did you just
undertakes.
Say? What did you just say?
That it doesn't make sense to say God is neither true or false, that he exists. And you said it can be the case that God can at one point neither be true or false, he exists.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's just going to be the reductio if you're going to commit to that view, right? So what I'm trying to prove is that it's not the case it is true God exists. You're admitting that for me.
That's not what you're not getting is because you're first, it doesn't mean that you're not last in the relative spectrum of what he can do. Like, so just because you're first, it doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme.
What are you talking about?
In the grand scheme of like a ladder of existence.
No one's talking about time, right? That's not what logic is constituted under. Listen, would you think it makes sense to say God both exists true and false at the same time?
Dependent upon universe, yeah.
No, it's not about a universe, right? You believe God exists independent of the universe, yes?
Why wouldn't it be dependent upon different universes?
Do you believe God created the universe or the set of universes?
Yes.
Oh, so then it's not the case God explains the existence of the universe.
Wait, how would
you're saying that God is dependent upon a universe to exist? So it can't be the case he manifested a universe to which he's going to be dependent.
I wouldn't say. My bad.
Okay, you're just like, I'm sorry, you're just confused. I'm not going to entertain this. This is just like conceptually impoverished gibberish. I'm not doing this. Someone else who wants to come who is like semi-competent and doesn't like hold that it is coherent to say that God exists, neither true or false. Simultaneity? Like, what is this guy talking about? Yeah, so anyone else here who has questions, you can be an atheist as well if you just want to come up and ask me something, or if you have an argument you want to debate, or maybe just discuss. What's up, Zell?
Yeah, hey, what's going on?
Do you believe there's any good reason to believe God exists?
No, I don't.
Okay, do you have any questions or anything?
First off, I think honestly, I was listening to the live. It was in my pocket. I probably hit the join by accident.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you didn't mean to be up here?
No.
Oh, that's fine. I'll just take you down.
Right.
Have a good one, though.
Take care.
All right, there's another person requesting. I'll let them up. Yeah, what up, Glenn?
Hi, man.
Do you believe there's any good reason to believe in God?
Is there a good reason to not believe in it?
No, is there a good reason to believe in God?
I mean, but is there a good reason to not believe?
Yeah, sure there is.
Okay, let's hear yours.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm willing to do that, but in a preliminary fashion, I'd rather we talk about your reasons first, and then we can get into mine. Unless you don't have, like, reasons.
No, I do. I understand the laws and rules of debate. And this is what this is. It's a debate. So why would you say there wasn't one?
Sorry?
And here, why would, if you're saying there's not a God, how are you describing that God that you're saying that doesn't exist?
Yeah, so the reasons, well, the description of the God I'm undertaking is just going to be like the Abrahamic view. So it's going to be like possibly a triune God, a Trinitarian view. There's going to be also like a morally perfectuous being, or just like an omnibenevolent being, omniscient being, and omnipotent being.
Oh, you're talking like a God that's got rules and it's going to imply or enforce punishment on you if you don't do what it says. That kind of
no, not necessarily. It could be the case that it's like, I don't know, it doesn't perform judgments. There's no afterlife, and I'd still be like, may have some degree of credence into which I would like reject that God.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe in an afterlife.
Okay. Well, I'm not clear. Why do you believe a God exists, though? Do you think it explains something? Personal experience, maybe?
No, because I am.
You're God?
I exist.
And you think God explains the things that which exist? I'm not.
Well, I mean, do you think monkeys sit around and discuss God?
I don't know what you're talking about here. I'm gonna just let you go. I don't think that's going anywhere. Sorry. There was someone else who requested. He just like, I don't know if he left alive, but he just went down. Okay. He left alive. What's up, Linda?
Hi.
Hello?
Hello.
I can't really hear you. Okay. That was weird. Anyone here who willing to come up, you can request. Where's the other dude? I think he left alive. I don't know who here I have maybe already invited. I'm gonna just invite some people. You want to come up, you can accept. If not, then just decline or ignore it. Oh, what's up, Marty?
Good evening.
So, do you believe there's any good reason to believe in God, or do you have any questions?
I don't believe in God. No, certainly not in any kind of personal creator or anything like that. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. So, do you have any questions for me? Any reasons in specific to come up?
Well, I mean, you invited me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just inviting people who are willing to undertake the proposition at hand that a God exists. There's going to be a good reason.
I already agree with you pretty much.
All right. Well, then, sorry for inviting you up. Have a good one, though.
Oh, you're good. Thanks.
All right. Okay, someone did request that. Oh, it's the same dude. I'm gonna let him up just to see what he has to say. So what's up?
All right. So all right. So a different topic. Then what's the three biggest contradictions of the Christian God to you?
The Christian God?
Yeah.
If you believe he's omnibenevolent, there's going to be issues with the notion problem of evil, the evidential problem of evil, and the Trinitarian commitment, which is going to be contradiction. If you take it that God is three persons, but those three persons constitute God in a way that's neither subsumptive, predicative, or identical, unless you take the form that is identical, that's going to be motivation for contradiction. The other ones are going to be like inapplicable. So that's going to be the another contradiction is God doesn't exist in the universe. That's just going to be an analytical contradiction, probably. God is going to be omnipotent is also going to be a contradiction if you believe in some set of other commitments. Like if you take a God's omnibenevolent and can't perform evil actions, you take him to be omnibenevolent, which means he can actuate any logically possible state of affairs, yet he can't actuate evil states of affairs given his own omnibenevolence. That's going to be an entailed contradiction. Also, if you take it that, let me think. I mean, there's not going to be, I'm not going to make sense of the idea that God is immaterial but manifest in a material mind. Those are going to be like things that are not going to be intelligible. That's not going to be a contradiction, though. I mean, I have more so undercutter defeaters than contradictions. Like I have like arguments like weighing God theoretically with like theoretical virtues for explanons. There's going to be issues of like a dichotomy between referential theory of meaning and descriptivism, in which God is cashed out. There's also going to be issues in saying like God is real, which is going to be like a metaphysical commitment, which we're not going to have like some epistemic instrument into the metaphysical in which we can endeavor into the facts of the matter. So that's going to be some epistemically impossible task to undertake. So that's going to be unclear from the outset why one posited that claim. There's going to be like a bunch of inductive motivations. There's going to be like so many inductive motivations to believe that God doesn't exist, like an outstanding amount. That's why like theists usually don't argue like induction. Like one of them is just going to be like every mind that which we came across was parasitic upon a body, and that there's no disembodied mind. So it's going to be highly improbable God exists. I mean, the interpretation argument for specific like religions, like it's not going to be clear how one understands any biblical text because hermeneutics are dependent on a contextualization of background information of the speaker. And that's only known to physical agents, and it's going to be impossible to determine the meaning of any biblical text given that. What is another one? Having a desire to create a universe, if he's factual, can be like the arbitrary thing, like why God chose to create one universe over another. Also, there's going to be like issues if you commit skeptical theism rather than dogmatic theism. There's going to be an entailment of global skepticism, which is going to be a reductio for your view, and it's essentially going to mean you don't really believe anything. You're like going to be like a Cartesian skeptic. So it's going to be like agent, like some form of contradiction that the individual believes in God but also doesn't. In that sense, or it's just going to like lead to an absurdity. So those are going to be like a bunch of commitments. I mean, sorry, critiques and reasons to not believe in God. There's also like a bunch of other ones, like the belief that God has free will is going to be unclear, and there's going to be motivation for why. But a belief like that makes no sense. Also, God wouldn't make sense to be spaceless or timeless. The universe is not going to be an explanandum, so that's going to be another one. And also, there's going to be like inquiries that are going to be like they're going to be undercutting for the view of why you believe in God, like why God doesn't choose to reveal himself to the world, right? Because if it is the case that there's free will, which means external factors aren't going to necessitate some outcome's conclusion, then it's not going to be the case God showing himself right in front of us would necessitate that we choose to believe in God. So it's not going to be the case that that's going to somehow abrogate or somehow like, I guess what's the word, like not be compatible with like. So it's going to be the case that if God revealing himself would make it more likely for those to believe in God, that it would be like an action guiding norm for God to deliberate upon that state of affairs in which he's revelatory. And there's just like a bunch of those.
Damn, bro. You really gave this a lot of thought. Good God, you went into every fucking aspect of like, I never heard anybody dissect like that. But I don't know where to start. I guess I'll start on the all powerful, all knowing, all good. I'm benevolence. I don't believe the moron for one because of you can know something but not be something. So that's not a contradiction.
Like an oxymoron is something like it's bittersweet, that you're like predicating something with like antithetical qualities.
No, you're saying all knowing because you was talking to the guy there was a couple of people ago. He was talking about like him being perfect and what is the definition of perfect. And I remember you said like your definition of perfect was maxed out. Like statistically.
Oh yeah, well that didn't deal with omniscience. That just dealt with defining God as the perfect being.
No, exactly, but it relates back to omniscience because it's through his knowledge of his perfection, which is how we deem him perfect. The all-knowingness gives him.
Well, that doesn't deal with anything with knowledge. It's not like epistemically derivable that God, like no one can like give an inference that like justifies that God is like the perfect being. It's just going to be like some analytic property for the term.
Yeah, I'm just using your analytic property that you gave out to expand upon it. And I'm saying the thing that you said when it comes to all powerful and all knowing, analytically maxed out. Just because you maxed out doesn't mean you don't know you're not maxed out. So you can still have
what does that have to do with anything?
Because you can still have consciousness you can still have consciousness within your understanding of everything that you know.
Okay, you can be conscious of your perfection. I don't understand how this is going to be like permanent.
So if you're conscious, of your perfection, that means you can know and have control over everything and anything.
Well, first of all, one of the issues with God's knowledge, which I'm not understanding how like epistemology relates to like the semantics of what God is. One issue with God's knowledge, if you understand God also to be outside a universe, which is going to mean he has an internalist epistemic framework, which means he derives mental content independent of a world that facilitate or furnishes that mental content, then that means skeptical or Cartesian scenarios are going to be logically possible, which is just going to dissolve God's omniscience, and that's going to be a contradiction, right? Because what it means to say that Cartesian scenarios are possible is that there's going to be some epistemic, impossible epistemic scenario that's epistemically underivable.
No, but that's relative. That's completely relative to the standard of all good, and he holds the standard. So you cannot say that because if
what are you talking about? I'm not talking about all goodness. I'm talking about God existing independent of a universe or a world in which he attains mental content, right? And that's just going to entail that Cartesian scenarios are going to be possible, and that's just going to mean that omniscience is impossible if there is the possibility of a Cartesian scenario, because what a Cartesian scenario is just going to be an epistemically underivable state of affairs, right? No epistemic framework would derive it. Given what it means to say that something is epistemically derivable is given the set of a system of epistemology, we can confer some consequences or conclusions, right? But that's going to lead to issues of whether or not the epistemic framework is going to be adequate. And that's going to be like some meta epistemology that's not going to be accessible.
Wait, what? I'm sorry. I just completely didn't keep up with you on that one. So
okay, so
the meta epistemology.
Yeah, that's going to mean that there's going to be like a system of the system, which that's not going to be coherent, right? Like that's going to lead to issues of like, if we could just stack metas upon a system, there's going to be like some infinite regress, or even like possibly like something greater than that, like in set theory with like the set of natural numbers of epistemic frameworks, and then like things like, okay, well, he paused. I don't know what he's saying exactly about. Right, so listen. Let's just go back to the perfection part, because this critique is going to be too strong. So if God is understood as perfect, which means that his preferences are maximized, and God possesses some desire, which means that he has a dog's ass had not yet obtained, that's going to be a contradiction, right? So it's going to be the case his preferences were not maximized, but it's postulated that they are.
That's wrong. You're talking about himself. What he is himself does not mean what we are experiencing. What he is and what he is, you're talking about scenarios for him of what it means to him or whatever that is. So like that doesn't mean that means that this is part of that.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Listen, what it means to say, perfection is just understood as an agent possessing the preferences that which they desire, right? Their preferences are maximized. So there's not going to be some echelon in which they can exceed that preference, because the preference is not going to have any higher echelon to obtain, right? They obtain the max. So if they possess a desire, that means that they lack that maximized preference state.
You know what? I want you to... I want to say this. Okay, so then let me give you an example then. Okay, so then what do you do when there's nothing else to learn? When there's nothing else to know? Don't contradict yourself.
I'm not clear what you're asking.
I'm asking, what do you do when there's nothing else to learn? No contradictions.
What should I do when I know everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't think knowing everything, I already explained how. Well, I guess as an externalist, we can know everything. I don't know, debate for fun. Like, I don't know, you're asking me what I would do if I knew everything about the world?
Yeah, you would probably.
Yeah, I'll just debate.
You'd probably blow yourself the fuck up.
Right, Bugs?
No, I mean, if there's nothing else to know, what is there to learn? If there's nothing else to learn, what is there to do? You can't learn or do anything. Would you just?
Well, I would just leave everything behind and just make like, if I know everything, I can make like, I don't know if it's going to be like non-logically possible, but if it is and I have access to that fact of the matter as to how to obtain like some serum that makes me immortal, then I'll probably spend my immortality writing of my infinite vast knowledge. Something like that.
Sounds kind of familiar, right?
Not really.
You just answered God. You just said you'd write a Bible, bro.
Not a Bible, because the Bible deals nothing with like the entirety of what is like going to be knowledgeable.
You just said you would write a Bible, bro.
No, I said I'm going to write some set of textbooks that are going to be informative of the knowledge I possess. Right? God doesn't write about the knowledge he has. He just gives a series of parables, historically inaccurate states of affairs.
That is literally what the Bible is, bro.
Yeah, what do you understand the Bible to mean? What do you define a Bible as?
No, but what do you think it is? It's all the knowledge of what man is.
Do you take a science textbook to be the same as like the Bible?
A science textbook?
Yeah, if I gave you a science textbook and a Bible, and you said, would you say the science textbook is a form of Bible?
I don't know what do you mean by that? A science textbook is more
yeah, because I'm not clear what you mean. It's a Bible, right? You're saying that evaluates to being a Bible, right? What I said I would do, the writings I would perform. I'm not clear how that's the case, that you can give that assessment without some criterion or touchstone in which we can actually designate it at that. So I'm not clear. What does it take to, achieve? What's going to be the threshold for something being a Bible?
A threshold for the Bible is Jesus Christ. It's just written.
So then it's not going to be the case I'm going to be writing a Bible, right? If what it means that I'm going to be doing is writing about the knowledge, the infinite knowledge I have, right? So I'm going to be talking about how particles interact, quantum mechanics, philosophy.
Okay.
That's not going to be the writings of Jesus Christ.
So what are you guys doing right now, though? Like, you're literally doing that stuff right now. So what are you talking about? That's what you're doing. You're learning,
Yeah, but you just define the Bible to be the writings of Jesus Christ, and it's not going to be the case.
It could be both. Why is it one or the other? One could be one is the morality. One is the morality of man. The other is the knowledge of man.
So let's just make a concrete, non-vague or fuzzy parameter to what constitutes a Bible. So give me the most robust definition of what a Bible is.
What? The most robust?
What is going to be the most robust definition of a Bible you can present?
Dude, robust definition of a Bible is I would say it's infinity's depiction. It's infinity's depiction of relativity within eternity itself. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to make sense of that, but give me a moment. Sorry, I'm back. Yeah, I didn't understand what that you were trying to like say that is the Bible. But listen, I'm gonna let you down. There's other people requesting. But I guess it was interesting talking with you. Maybe another time that I do it live, you can come up.
Gotcha.
Peace.
Easy, bro.
All right. Oh, you wanted to say something? My bad. I saw that you requested. Did you want to like say something to him before you left? No, that was my bad.
No. Oh, hello, guys.
Oh, what's up?
So this is the thing. There's no winning, no money in this. Can't nobody prove anything, actually. It's either a believer or a non-believer. That's all it is. But I would say if you believe in God, you have to believe in yourself, because that's all it is.
I understood. I understand a belief to be some mental state that is going to be. It's going to have some set of conditions that furnish that mental state.
My mental state is just I'm human, and I'm a believer. Then we all are. I would say God's children.
Yeah, but whether or not it's intuition or something, there's going to be some whatever. There's going to be something that is necessary to furnish that disposition of doxa, right? Whatever attitude of belief you're holding is going to be facilitated by some
100%. 100%. I think it's love. I think it's just because I'm just I guess when you go through stuff in life, and I think most people who believe in God want to believe in something. But if you don't believe in yourself, then what is there? There could be no God if you don't believe in yourself. Because I mean, if they say we were made in His likeness and His image and whatever, we have to take the good with the bad. The good, the God and the devil. We are everything that we are created for is just to be basically good people and just know right from wrong. And I believe that's where God exists, in the right. Some people believe in the devil. Some people don't believe in the devil. Some people believe in God. Some people don't believe in God. But overall, agnostics or any atheists or anybody, I mean, and I would believe that the same thing, that nobody's a bad person. I would as long as you're a good person to me.
Well, I'm just trying to take the commitments of some views, such as the belief of God, right? Because obviously a mental state or dogmatic attitude isn't going to independently of anything else, right? It's not like, I don't believe in involuntary. Yeah, so I'm just trying to get clear what is the motivations for why people believe in God and to see if they're adequate enough to hold to critique.
I saw my nieces and nephews 3 years, right? That I'm a Jedi, right? Was it because I'm looking, I love Star Wars and I love this and I love that, and next thing you know, they're teaching the Jedi way in colleges. You know what I'm saying? So it wouldn't matter what we believe in. I would believe that we should believe in ourselves and others to just be good people and protect each other and help each other, no right and wrong. And that makes sense to me because if it's not about being godly or a Christ, because Jesus Christ was not his last name. A Christ only means an enlightened person. And you can say somebody's demented. You can say somebody's like evil, but if someone has dementia, are they demented or they just have a problem? My grandmother had dementia.
I guess you have an interesting view, and I think my view might be a bit compatible with it, but I'm gonna let you down for the reasons of like this live is meant for those who are willing to try and make a case for their belief in God being adequate. But it was nice talking, so I'm gonna let you go.
God is adequate. He's always adequate, or else we wouldn't be talking about him.
Okay. Peace. What's up? What's up?
I was just going to tell Chris. Chris, you need 200 followers. I don't know why TikTok won't let this comment go. I wrote. I don't
you only need 200 now?
Yeah, you only need 200 to guest. I think you need 1,000 still to go live. But to guest, you only need 200 followers. Sorry.
Wasn't it before it was 1,000 both ways? Or
yeah. For the US anyway, yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. So anyone who's not aware of that information, thank you for informing us. I didn't even know this. So yeah, you need 200 followers.
Yeah, people follow Chris. Get him up there. Okay. All right. I'm going to drop.
All right. Peace.
Yep.
Let's see if there's Android. Someone really just commented Android. Okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with an Android, right? Must be only. Everyone has bad experiences in life. I know that should ever. Hello. Stop wasting your time. I don't think I'm wasting my time. Anyone here who has questions, want to discuss anything like that, debate, you can come up, request, share to other people. You're agnostic? I would believe that's better to be atheist than agnostic, to be honest. I have some solid proof. Source, bro, trust me. Okay, what's your proof? Trust me, bro. The source is bro, trust me. Okay. Cool. I'm wondering, is there people here, if you can respond in the chat, I guess, is there any people here who are theists that came to their, I guess, worldview solely on the belief of logical argument, or is it something else like personal experience, who came to the belief of God purely through like an argument or like logical? You're agnostic as one believe that this person knows by either side. I would disagree highly. I think there's actually an outstanding way of disproving God. Like I don't know if you were here the entire time, but I gave multiple critiques. Damn, Chris. Here, let me follow Chris. So then, yeah, y'all should follow Chris. There's not gonna be enough people, anyways, if everyone follows the Chris to really let him up here. Math is proof. Define God. I was actually raised atheist to give a decent thought to religion, but never was convinced. Okay. Because you speak with people who can't fully understand. It's people of God who gain more knowledge and proof. You don't just people who know how God exists. Okay. Well, it doesn't matter really. Like, there's not going to be a way of interpreting the Bible. Like I said, the interpretation argument is all the Bible is any recourse for anything, given we're not going to have a way in assessing the way we interpret it, right? Let's say there's this one verse in the Bible, I don't know, like hurt your neighbor or something like that. Now that can be interpreted literally, allegorically, anesthetically. Instead of not do that, the intention of the speaker is given some background information into the speaker to which we can contextualize the scenario and undertake some more probabilistic interpretation, which deals with hermeneutics and the metaphysics of interpretation. Well, I guess you can just say intentionalism, which is a view of interpretation of some utterance. And with that, it's not going to be the case we can ever actually use the Bible to understand anything of what it even is trying to convey. You're right, but I just explained that we're not going to understand anything of what God says. So God's telling us interpret his word with love. It's just going to like fail. No, that's, but how do you know to interpret the line that says interpret it with love is not meant to be read allegorically? Because you're taking that sentence literally, that utterance. Okay, let's see who else. Anyone else here request, invite others who are willing to request. Oh, this guy was on earlier, but he left when I was talking with someone else. Let me re-invite him. I'm going to be going in a minute. I'm not going to be sitting on for too much because I've already been here. Actually, I think 2 hours. Let me read the chat. Sorry, I was just sending a request. I challenge you to pray. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Yeah, why should I place love in my heart when I interpret the Bible? Right. First of all, you can't interpret the Bible. That's the issue. What does it mean to say when you interpret the Bible if you can? Yeah. So listen, Patrick. It could be the case that there's a God who punishes those who pray. Right. So if there is a God, it could be the case that there's going to be like bad reasons for praying. Right. It can entail some bad outcome. Yeah, you never beat me on Naruto being Emmett. Yeah, you're just a moron. You don't even know like what an inference is. But I'm not interested in that topic. If you want to come up and talk about something interesting, you can. Do you believe in God?
Do I believe in God?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What's the best reason to believe in God?
The best reason to believe in God, probably that it helps you give like a guideline, like a set of rules to help your life, to help you deal with life.
Yeah. So why would that? Well, first of all, that's going to have issues with like once again the interpretation argument of the recourse of some literary like I don't know.
You don't necessarily have to be a higher being. It can just be a set of rules. To just, I don't just be a set of principles to abide by. Essentially.
Are you like so you're a consequentialist about normative systems?
No, I would say normative systems are subjective in different terms of literature.
Yeah, but I'm asking, are you a consequentialist about normative systems?
What's a consequentialist?
That you believe that the consequence that's entailed by some normative set of facts are going to be the determinant in assessing which normative framework is going to be superposing of another.
So, karma, in a sense?
No.
So, elaborate on it.
Yeah, so if I have some, let's say I have the desire or the norm that we should not off other people, right?
Yeah.
So given that norm, that's going to be a normess, it's going to be a principle that guides the behavior, judgment, or evaluation of some mental state. Given that, we're going to have force makers, which are going to be just action guiders for that normative view. And then given that, it's like, let's say I have a norm to win a race, right? The action guiding norm or the force maker.
Right. Sorry? Overall, like, are you trying to say like what makes it overall right in a sense?
No, I'm asking. Never mind. I don't think you're well equipped enough to maybe.
No, I can get what you're saying, but like you're just making a long ass explanation.
So a consequentialist just holds the view that the consequence is what's going to matter for some framework.
Okay, and framework would be just like an action.
No, a framework is going to be like. No, a framework is going to be like a system for some category.
Okay.
Like the system of epistemology, right? Is going to be distinct from the system of logic.
Okay. So, why do you feel like? Actually, I want to answer your question with a question. Why do you feel like God doesn't exist or God makes no sense?
There's.
Like what?
Yeah, I mean, one of them is just going to be ontological economy, right? And given the consideration of commodities and the strength of commodities, logical commodity, it's going to be more parsimonious that we commit to atheism, given it's going to have, it's going to abide by the principle of parsimony. And it's also going to have more explanatory virtues, I would say. It's going to be less ad hoc. And I also see the theistic worldview as just being a just so story. So it's not going to hold any theoretical modalic weight.
So that's your only reasons?
No, I have a bunch other.
Okay, like what?
Well, it depends on, there's going to be logical issues. Like if you're a Trinitarian, that's going to lead to contradiction. If you hold to God being omnibenevolent, omniscient, and all powerful, and the classic Abrahamic commitments, then there's going to be like the problem of evil, the logical problem of evil. There's also going to be like undercutting defeaters of the problem of evil, like the Nocean problem of evil, as well as the evidential problem of evil.
What's the Nocean problem of evil?
That there's not going to be any, how do I say this? It's not going to intervene, or it's going to be compatible with, what's the word? So it's not going to be incompatible with free will. Yeah, it's going to allow that states of affairs that do not act against someone's free will, that are going to be like non-benevolence or other ethical principles, should be undertaken by a god. Like here, I mean, it can be illustrated by like saying that a deer in a forest, in a tree that is like old, ends up collapsing on the deer, and the deer's ribs puncture its body and it's bleeding internally, and now it's starving, pressed under the tree for days, right? Taking the Abrahamic view, we're not going to see animals as having free will, so it's not going to be it's going to be still conducive to the thought that God ought to remove the tree and help the deer.
Free will isn't a subjective thing.
You have an argument for free will?
Yeah.
What's the argument?
I feel like free will isn't subjective.
Okay, well, what's the argument for
limited. It can be limited.
free will? You're a realist about free will.
Yeah, I think you're limited in what you can actually achieve, but you can will anything.
Yeah, but I'm asking, what's the argument for the existence of free will?
The existence of free will? This conversation right now.
I don't see. What do you think free will is?
The ability, not the ability to describe free will. In
what do you think the distinction? What do you think the distinction between
free will is in short words?
Okay.
Any action that not any action. Listen, basically, anything that happens in correlation to you as an essence of like your existence itself.
No, that's going to be compatible with determinism. Listen, you understand that determinism is going to be the antithesis of free will. Because determinism is going to be compatible with these psychological dispositions that we're undertaking our own actions by volition, and that we're deliberating upon affairs. That's going to be compatible with determinism.
So do you choose to breathe air?
Yeah, well, that's obviously what's in dispute.
That's something that you want to do. That's your will.
Yeah, but I just explained the distinction.
Thank you.
No, I'm saying, no, I didn't say yes to that. I'm saying,
no, you did concede just now.
No, I'm not saying yes.
We can move on to the next point. We can move on to the next point, but yeah.
If you're not going to engage, then I'm going to just put you down. I'm not saying yes. I'm trying to explain.
You did, though. You did.
No, I said, well, yeah.
And then I'm trying to do conversation here. Let's restart because I already won that point.
Yeah, no, listen, what I'm trying to say is that it's going to be compatible with determinism. That we have
This is the restarting.
Yeah, I'm going to just move you down. You're just a troll. I'm trying to explain to you it's going to be compatible with determinism, that we have these psychological dispositions, that we are volitionarily deliberating upon these, rather than the external conditions of the states of affairs that necessitate that outcome. So that's not going to matter. I can believe I'm choosing ice cream. Let's say I have the state of affairs in which I can choose ice cream, right? Either chocolate or vanilla. If I ran that state of affairs a million times in a row, under free will, it's possible that I choose, let's say I have a stronger, take chocolate. In determinism, that desire is going to be determining the outcome. But in free, I can always choose ice cream every instance and still hold that chocolate is better than vanilla. But I can, I usually don't take vanilla, so maybe I'm going to take vanilla this time, right? It's not going to necessitate that the desire furnishes the consequent necessarily, right? And that the deliberation of action is going to be determined by volition and not necessarily the external conditions of the state of affairs. But what's up? Can I see your name, Sarah? I'm gonna just call you Sarah. Sarah, you there? Hello, Sarah?
Oh yeah, hold on. I was doing something.
Are you over the age of 18?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I gotta let you down. Sorry.
Yeah, because you invited me.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I didn't know. Sorry. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna let this other person up. I think this might be the last person I'm gonna let up.
Well, I can prove to you I exist if you're talking to me.
I mean, that wouldn't be proof that you exist.
My name, sir.
But do you believe there's good reason to believe in God?
I am God.
Okay, so what it means to say something is God is just that it's identical to the person of you. Okay, well, people. So what you mean by God is that there's going to be an identical relation between you and as the referent in the term.
Of France, Germany, and Native America. I have control over 120 nations as we speak.
Okay, Charles. Yeah, you're going to. I'm not. I don't know who else. I'm gonna have one last other person, maybe two or other people after this one, dude. Maybe just one. Let's see. What's up?
Amdir.
Amdir, what's up?
Yeah, I have like a lot. I have like a logical proof for God's existence, a deductive proof, if you will.
Great.
Okay, so take the proposition A. Okay, now the proposition A is A implies God exists. Okay, now what you can do, so line one of the proof is going to be A implies A. That's just a tautology, so that's true by definition. Then, since A is just A implies God exists, we can convert the second A in A implies A to A implies that A implies God exists. Now, by law of contraction, classical logic, A implies God exists is just can be shortened to A implies God exists, which of course is just A. Then if A implies God exists and we've derived A, then the consequent follows, which is God exists, and so we've proven God exists.
Yeah, well, that's just going to mean that you're going to be deploying inferential rules that is going to allow for the syntax to be adequate in a logical, structured fashion, right? But that's not going to deal with the contents.
Which inference rules are you denying that I used?
No. I'm saying that the syntax is going to be adequate, right? But that's not going to deal with the soundness of the inference, right? So I'm not denying that the inference is going to be valid. But how do you justify the first premise, or just that?
The only premise here was A implies A, which is a tautology. The rest was just derivations from that.
Yeah, so it's going to reduce to A exists, right?
No. The only premise is A implies A, which is a tautology.
Well, listen, you're not making an argument for the ontology of God, right? I can say,
any conclusions God exists.
No, it's going to be that A implies A.
No, that's the premise, not the conclusion. Conclusions God exists.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to reject A, that A implies A.
Yeah, A is not a premise. If you're rejecting A implies A, you're just rejecting classical logic. You're just rejecting ontology.
So, hold on. So the inference is A implies A. That's the first premise?
So the only premise here is A implies A. Okay, the rest we're deriving. So what A is defined as, the sentence A is, the sentence A is, if A, then God exists. Okay, so what we're doing is we're just substituting in the sentence A into the second A there. So we start with A implies A, which is a tautology. Then we substitute in for that second A, A implies God exists. So what we have is A implies God exists. Then by contraction, that's just A implies God exists, which is A. So then we have
You'll see. Have a good.
Okay. Thanks. What? I'm not gonna add him. Let's see. I don't know. I'm just gonna request one more person. It's gonna be like the final person. I'm just gonna see. I don't know. Anyone else want to come up? I don't have the money, Rob. The money, I asked God to give the one who convinces me that he exists $1 billion. So if it is the case that I'm proving God exists by argument, then it follows that you attain $1 billion. So just prove to me God exists, and then surely then he will, provide you with a blessing of $1 billion. No, that's not true, Rebecca. That is not true. I don't use that radical skepticism in like argument, like ever. Like that could dissolve any argument. That's just uninteresting. No one really uses like strong skepticism. I don't think. Prove it. Prove what? Yeah, I mean you can. I don't know how I'd prove that. I'm not clear how I'd prove that. Like I have first person privilege into my mental state, and I don't hold the mental attitude that I'm a radical skeptic. I don't think it's going to be epistemically presentable. But I'm going to have like first person privilege into that dog's-astic fact that I don't believe I'm a radical skeptic. All right, well, doesn't seem like anyone's requesting. Well, there's this one person. I'm just going to invite them. Even the last time they didn't seem to say anything. Interesting. What's up, God? You're going to be the final person of today. Okay, wait. He's freezing for me. Prove you're not a trivialist. Same justification I gave that I'm not radical skeptic or Cartesian skeptic. Okay, this guy's not loading for me. Oh, well, my live's going to end because I just realized my phone's on 1%. Unless I can, the charger's right next to me. Unless I can plug it in. I think this live might end in a couple of seconds. Actually, I might survive. Okay, there, I got my charger. Thank God. Okay, G-Mike. Bro, what? Are you calling me G-Mike or... No, G-Mike's not in here. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like G-Mike. Doesn't seem any... Oh, wait. Maybe 5 minutes. But let's see who's the last person of the day. Oh, and since this live is ending soon, y'all can do me a favor and just spam like for the live. Everyone just tap on the screen at least 3,000 times. Everyone click. Actually, how about this? We'll do a chain prayer, right? We'll all do a connected prayer. And we'll pray to God and say, like, the person who taps the most gets $10 billion, right? In the second spot. And we'll actually do like a runner-up, so the second person gets $1 billion. So let's pray, right? So then that lucky person gets $1 billion. What do y'all think? That God exists. In the name of the Father, the Son, Holy Spirit, God, who clicks my screen the most times and gives me the most hearts, $10 billion, and give the runner-up $1 billion. Amen. No, I don't actually have hands. Actually, I don't even have a body. I'm just a brain in a vat. I'm not gonna lie. Should I just like start doing TikToks with my face showing or something? Because it'd be annoying that there's like so little people. It's always like the people who show their face get more. All right. Yeah, the live's gonna end in like maybe 2 more minutes. Doesn't seem, or maybe I'll just end in 1 minute. Doesn't seem like anyone's coming out. So appreciate all of you for watching, I guess. Hopefully it was entertaining. And let's see who's the 2 lucky people who get either 10 billion or $1 billion. You owe me so much. Hope you can pay. Well, let's see if you tap the screen enough. I'm putting my trust in God that he pays you. I think Venmo would work. Just give me your Venmo user and I'll pray to God that he transfers all the funds. All right. Oh, this dude challenging me? It might be one last person. Maybe this last person is like the chosen one. He might prove and win the money. I don't know. He doesn't seem to be coming up. I need to change proof. Well, all I mean by proof is like sound inference. Well, obviously. The Father being God, yet you don't know that God be only the living. Okay. All right, well, I'm gonna end this live here. Peace, y'all. Tap this, let's go like 1 more minute. Spam like tap on the screen. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really care if you tap the screen or not. Like the likes don't really do anything for me. I just want to see a big number. Let's try and reach a bigger number than the amount of money that I'm paying y'all. All right. How about I end the live once we reach 10 billion likes? Sound good? Can you join and talk, please? Well, you're not even able to come up. You don't even have 200. If you want to talk, you can add me on Discord when I'm not on live.